Hello, this is Dylan Murphy again. So, yeah, I woke up today at 2 p.m. I'm falling out of bed to record this intro for the next video. It's so relatable, am I right? But anyways, so for today's video, I spoke to
Snows in Australia.
who, funnily enough, is not from Australia. He's in kind of the indie pop kind of genre. He's very influenced by kind of bands from the 1990s. Think kind of The Cure and stuff like that. But I think he can do a much better job of explaining himself because he's influenced by a lot of different genres and he has a very unique sound. So I think it's best to let him kind of speak for himself. So let's take a listen. We're going for real now this time. So I'm here with Snows from Snows in Australia. So thanks very much for joining me.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks very much. So yeah, so I suppose just to kind of get started, I know we kind of briefly touched on this before we started, but can you just give me kind of an introduction to yourself, just very generally speaking?
Sure. Yeah. I'm from the States. I grew up in Pennsylvania and moved around a lot. I've lived in Michigan and Jersey, Florida, and now I'm in Tennessee. And I've been into music my whole entire life. My dad played guitar, so there was always a good guitar around the house growing up. I think that's how I got into it. My parents were very, very cool about like buying me keyboards and musical instruments and stuff like that. So I've been making music for a long time, and just starting to kind of get back into it more seriously and actually start to publish stuff.
Yeah. So I suppose before we go into more detail on the music itself, I think a very interesting name for the band Snows in Australia. When I heard that, I was kind of expecting to hear an Australian accent when trying to call. So can you give me a bit of background as to that whole side of things?
You would think I would have thought about that, wouldn't you? I think that had been the first thing I thought. Well, if I use this name, everyone's just going to assume I'm Australian. But that literally did not occur to me until somebody started asking me about it. The name was supposed to be like a sense of wonder. But basically, a few years ago, I saw this footage of kangaroos hopping around in the snow, and it blew my mind. I didn't know it ever snowed in Australia, right? So when I found that out, it kind of like it was like a sense of the other. It kind of blew my mind up a little bit. That's what I would like my music to do. So,
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I suppose on that note, can you kind of give us an introduction to your music itself, kind of how you would describe it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess I'm in the indie rock genre, but I'm really influenced by a lot of things. It's like, so common to say nowadays, oh, I listen to everything, but I think my biggest influences are probably The Cure, number one, and Radiohead after that. Probably are my two biggest influences. But like I've been into music for a long time. There was a period in my life when all I was listening to was classical music, like really obscure stuff, like Hemdemith and like Kodale and stuff like that, and a lot of string quartets. And I've composed a couple of string quartets too, and done a few classical pieces. Yeah, totally forgot what we were talking about.
So yeah, I suppose how you would describe your music itself. So you kind of said kind of indie rock. Is that kind of
No.
the overall picture?
Yeah, I mean, indie rock has changed a lot. It's become a lot more smooth and produced. But if you think of like the late 90s indie rock, like bands like Pond and Sunny Day Real Estate is a pretty popular one nowadays. And kind of the sub pop labels, Modest Mouse, kind of indie rock like that. And just, I I try a lot of times to make sure that my stuff is danceable too. Like that's really important to me.
Okay.
I've been really influenced by funk a lot too. A lot of the great funk artists out there.
Okay, yeah. So, you mentioned that, you kind of talked a bit there about, let's say, all the different artists that kind of influenced you. So, would you kind of take inspiration from, let's say, a variety of genres, or are you kind of looking specifically to that kind of indie rock scene, that kind of 90s era kind of rock?
I am very hard at picking a way I want my music to sound and sitting
Okay.
down and making that. So yeah, like how I write usually on the guitar I start with I'm not even trying to write, I'm like watching TV or something, I'm just playing around and something will sound good and then I'll work from there. But I don't like if I want to say, oh, I'm going to write a real sad song today. Like, I think that would be very hard for me to do. I kind of make it up as I go along, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I suppose with that in mind, then, can you kind of give us an idea as kind of your story in terms of, you kind of mentioned music been in your life from a young age and stuff, but can you kind of give us a bit of an outline as to, kind of getting started with the band and introducing us to, let's say, the members, kind of how things got started, that kind of side of things?
For sure, yeah. Well, it started out as a two-man thing with an old friend of mine that I grew up with. Unfortunately, we had a falling out. So now the band is only me. It's just me. But I figured, hey, Robert Smith did it with The Cure, right? So
Yeah.
just me and Rob, two peas in a pod, So it's just really a solo act right now. But I was started, I would say 2019, just before the pandemic. And I started I found a way, there was some DAW, a DAW online that I could send stuff, and it was free to my friend because he lived a few states away. We started working on some stuff, and that stuff's going to be coming out soon. Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned that, that, you kind of started just before, let's say, the pandemic kind of kicked off. So did that kind of impact any of your plans, or I suppose, how did that kind of change things from your point of view?
That's a good question. I haven't really sat down and thought about that. I mean, I don't think it affected my music a whole lot anyway, because I'm a bedroom producer basically. So it's not like I had to go to the studio or anything. I would say it was more just of a mental thing. I really remember that the first day I was kind of out and about again. I was going to get my first vaccine shot, and it was terrifying to be out in public. It messed with my head, being inside and kind of only around the same people for so long.
Yeah. So, like, do you think that kind of came through in your music at all?
Yeah. I don't know. Like I say, it's really hard for me to pick a topic or like a mood or whatever, an emotion I'm going for and do that. I think, it might have made me better, not to be cocky or anything, just because I could spend a lot more time at it. I really feel like it's only been the last 2 years that I've really got serious about my music. I mean, you saw my Spotify. I think I have like 3 or 4 songs on there.
Okay.
On my computer right now, I have about 300 songs in progress.
Okay.
And I just need to finish them and get them out there.
Yeah, so I suppose, can you give us an outline? I suppose, can you kind of run us through, let's say, maybe what you've done so far, the songs that you've released already, and kind of what the story behind those?
I'm trying to remember all of them. There was the first one I put on there was just a white background with the gold logo on it. And it's really just kind of a beat, but I'm kind of using my voice. I kind of sampled my voice on that one. It was just kind of a short little thing. I was basically trying to test out everything. It was the first thing I sent through my distributor and all that. And I just kind of wanted to see how things played out. But I like the beat. I think it's pretty nice. And there's another one on there. I think the latest one. I can't. My memory is horrible. but it was basically about meeting a girl at a roller skating rink and kind of falling in love, and then the guy ends up cheating on the girl, and they break up, and he's really sad at the end and all that. But the funny thing about that was I had a friend of mine, a female, who I actually wrote that for. I wanted her to sing, like, you know, and that never ended up happening. So I ended up just going ahead and using it anyway. I like music so much.
Okay, so I suppose are the songs then kind of based on personal experiences?
Hardly ever.
Oh, really?
Hardly ever. It's all fiction. Yeah. Um, I'm to the point now where I think I might have something to say about my life where I'd like to start doing that. But no, I write kind of whatever comes into my head. I try and stylize it so it's nice. And, you know, when I was a kid, I won an award for some poetry I wrote, you know, so I think that transfers into the lyrics a lot. I can just, excuse me, I can just kind of come up with scenarios in my head. I've always been creative that way. So that's, yeah, there's really, everything that's been released so far, there's not any resemblance to my life at all.
Okay. So rather than kind of, I suppose, how do I say this? Rather than talking about your own kind of feelings or experiences, you kind of want to explore certain themes or certain ideas. Is that kind of fair to say?
Yeah. Like a lot of that stuff is going to be really heavy, like emotionally heavy, because of where I'm at in my life right now. But I expect that'll be a lot more sparse. It might just be acoustic guitar and vocals, which will be very different from what I have out there, which is more of a full band, indie rock, danceable kind of thing.
Okay. I suppose what I'm kind of getting at is, you know, obviously it's not based, you know, your music, it's not based on any kind of personal experiences or anything like that. But do you think your kind of own person, let's say feelings or experiences kind of come true in the music at all? If that
No,
makes sense. No?
it's just like it's like an author writing a book,
Okay.
like a work of fiction. Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
very much
I have
just
nothing to do
like
with my music at all. I have nothing to do with my music. Not involved in my music
No.
whatsoever.
So I
It's just like sorry, go ahead.
no, sorry, go on.
But just like an author of fiction writing a book, doesn't have to have anything to do with his life. Doesn't have to be like what he wants his life to become or anything like that.
Okay. So I suppose then, you know, you're kind of this kind of objective kind of, let's say, third party kind of looking in and kind of telling these stories almost. So is that kind of fair to say?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And I suppose, do you feel like, I suppose, what has kind of the reaction been, at least as far as you can tell, to the tracks that have been released so far?
It's mostly been positive. I mean, I suck at marketing. Like I don't even run social media accounts. I have some that I haven't posted to in months, so it's hard to get people to listen. That's why I was so thankful that I was able to do this with you. But people that hear my music tend to like it. Like most people tend to think it's pretty good. Like I think that's what's kept me going at it for so long.
Okay. So, you know, you mentioned the whole thing of social media being difficult. I suppose, do you think that's kind of been a challenge for you in terms of kind of getting your music out there, maybe not using social media maybe as much as you could?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's a big part of it. Like I don't want to use TikTok at all. I just don't like the company. And I think like if I pursued more of those avenues, it would definitely help to spread my my brand awareness, if you want to call it. So there's that, and then there's also my procrastination. Like I was talking about earlier, I have 300 songs in progress on my computer right now. Some of them are 5-6 years old, and I can't. It's really hard for me to sit down and work on them for some
Yeah.
reason. I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that in terms of when you have kind of a lot of different things going on, each kind of project becomes more difficult. Um, so in terms of, so I suppose, would it be fair to say then that, you know, you're not really as interested in, let's say, the marketing side of things, the like kind of getting your name out there, getting your music out there. You're kind of more into, let's say, the artistic aspects of it all. Is that kind of fair to say?
For sure, 100%.
And I suppose when it comes to, let's say, the themes or kind of the stories behind your music, has that kind of resonated with people, do you think?
I think it does. I think when people, especially that song I was talking about, it's called Back Then. I just now remember. When people hear that song, that a lot of people ask me, "Oh, who was this about? Who was your muse?" Some people say, it feels very real to them, and I have to explain, well, this is, this isn't really about me. This is just like a work of art.
Yeah.
That sounds so fucking corny, but you know what I mean. And but yeah, I think the lyrics hit people pretty hard. Hopefully, I think so.
So do you think then it's important to kind of look at your music or look at your art from kind of an objective point of view? You know, have it been less about your own kind of feelings or experiences, but think about, okay, is this a good song? Like, are people going to want to hear this? Is that something that you would be kind of conscious of then?
Well, for sure. Well, I think any musician is always trying to make their best music. Um, yeah, I mean, I work on things for a long time, but sometimes things that you do in an afternoon are even better. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
weird thing about it. But yeah, for sure. Like, I'm not the kind of artist who's off in the woods by himself, just creating for himself. In this high level of artistic expression. Like, I'm definitely an artist for the people. That's how I see it.
Okay. So then when you're kind of working on something there, would you seek any feedback maybe or get others' advice on, I suppose, on your music or...
My friend who is actually an engineer, that I used to work with at a shoe factory, believe it or not. And I show him a lot of stuff, and there's some other.
Okay.
What?
And sorry, I think our connection was a bit bad there for a second, but I think I got the gist. You were talking about your friend that's an engineer and that kind of thing. So yeah, in terms of so yeah, you mentioned you have a lot. You have like you have 3,300 projects kind of working on at the moment. Do you have a specific plan yet as to, I suppose, what order you're going to tackle those in, or where you want to go from here?
I do have that list written out. I'm having a real hard time keeping to it because I keep making new shit. It's just so easy for me to make new shit. Like, I think it's easy for everybody. You got a green field, right? Like, do whatever you want. Later on, when you're kind of boxed in the corner, that it gets hard. But yeah, I have a list. I have a list that the last thing, what almost all these songs need are lyrics, and that's really the hardest part for me, is writing the lyrics. I can come up with a new riff, once an hour or something, like, for real. But lyrics take me months.
Okay. And so, in terms then of because I can't see your face right now, and you kind of keep your identity a bit of a secret. I'm always interested to hear from creators, not just musicians, but across everywhere, where kind of their real kind of identity is secret. How does that kind of, from your point of view, how does that kind of impact, let's say, on your work, or if it does at all, really? Does that kind of make an impact on how you, I suppose, get your name out there?
Well, I hope it does. Like, I'm just kind of at the start of, like, taking all this very seriously, and I hope it translates well. I think we're in an age where everybody wants to show their face on everything. That's really where it's coming from. It's a reaction to that, where they're taking selfies of themselves all day long.
Yeah.
It's like it's become, the whole world is Hollywood.
Yeah.
The whole world is Hollywood. And so this is more of a reaction to that. I don't want to play into that. I don't want to be like that. So that's kind of where it's coming from. But yeah, I think hopefully it'll be intriguing. We'll see.
So yeah, like, do you think that you know, the whole social thing of, you know, posts on social media, taking selfies, all that stuff, do you think that makes things more difficult from, I suppose, a musician's point of view of just kind of focusing on the core and of creating music, getting it out there, that kind of thing? Do you think it kind of adds on this extra pressure, or what's your view?
Oh, for sure. It's extra pressure and extra work. Like, to be on all the socials all the time, be relevant and keep posting all the time, that's a full-time job. I mean, I wouldn't be able to create it if I did that, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I think social media is pretty unhealthy. I think we're starting to see with what happened with Twitter and what's happening with Reddit right now. I think we're starting to see people kind of rebel from it a little bit. I think that's going to be really helpful.
Yeah, you know, I definitely think the culture is changing around social media, and I suppose kind of the level of kind of what's the word? Publicity on social media. You know, people are being a bit more conscious of, I suppose, how much they share online. But, you know, kind of moving on a bit from that, in terms of, let's say if you get your music out there a bit more, would you be open to kind of doing kind of live gigs or doing anything like that, or would you kind of rather keep it, you know, in the home, in, you know, kind of bedroom kind of thing? How would you feel about kind of going out into the open like that?
I would love to go out. It is funny though. There used to be a time decades ago when a musician could just release an album and they didn't have to tour and they could be pretty well off. But that doesn't really exist anymore. So yeah, I would really like to go out, but I want to make sure I have a fan base first. Like, I'm not into, like, this sounds so like entitled, but I'm not into like touring around in a band and playing for 3 people at a show. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure there's a decent amount of pull and interest first.
Well, of course. You know, you want to know that there's kind of I suppose, demand there for that. In terms of you know, assuming you can kind of build an audience, then would you want to kind of keep your face then a secret still, or is there ever a point where you'd want to kind of let's say, reveal that? Hey, sorry, can you hear me? No, that's fine. Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just asking, in terms of, you know, assuming that you're able to build an audience and kind of get your name out there, is there ever a point where you would want to kind of reveal your identity, or would you rather keep the secret in the long term?
It's going to cost a big money, my friends. The big dough.
Say that again? I can hear you, yeah. What about money?
I'm just joking around. I was saying they're gonna have to pay a lot of money for this.
Okay. Okay. I suppose you know, it is definitely possible, I feel, to keep your, I suppose, identity secret. I'm thinking about what you're kind of reminding me of is there was a duo from here in Ireland called the Rubber Bandits, and kind of their gimmick was you know, they're not as active as they used to be, but kind of their gimmick was they were it was very kind of comedy focused, but their kind of gimmick was they had plastic bags over their head, but like with their eyes and stuff out like a mask. So, you know, I suppose people are kind of interested in, let's say, personality, and you know, I suppose what you can bring that's different, rather than the whole thing of, you know, being very public as well. So I feel like that's encouraging as well, that people are kind of willing to forgive that. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass here.
No, no, there's been a long history of musicians wearing masks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not the first to come up with.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So, kind of looking forward, then, I think I kind of touched on this already, but kind of in the immediate future, what would you like to do? Is there any tracks that you're kind of looking at that you'd like to kind of bring out soon, or, I suppose, what are kind of the immediate plans for the future?
Yeah, I need to finish the lyrics and then I'll do the singing on a few of these songs I've got coming out, and mostly they're more love songs. Um, that there's always fertile soil. And I hope to get those out soon. Like, I need to get motivated to do that.
Okay. And in terms of would you like to kind of get more active on, let's say, the social media side of things, or do you want to kind of keep things low key until you're ready to kind of share more?
We'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. I would like to just be like organically discovered. Like,
Okay.
I've never been the kind of person to like, look at me, here's me.
Yeah.
I hate that. So I don't want to be on socials more, but we'll see if I don't get any traction at all, then might have to look into it.
Okay. And I suppose, would you like to kind of share, because you do have profiles already, don't you?
I do. I have, well, we met on Reddit, if I can say.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have an IG. I like I said, I haven't posted to it in months. And I have a Twitter, and I'm kind of falling out of love with Twitter, but I'm gonna start posting to IG more because it's more of a music-centered place.
Okay. This is Snows in Australia. We're just kind of out of time now, but want to say thanks again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dylan. Thank you for this opportunity.
My pleasure. So that was Snows in Australia. I want to thank him again very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And it was great to speak with him. He has a very kind of unique insight into, I suppose, music and kind of his style of music specifically. He had some very unique opinions on, I suppose, a lot of people say they kind of listen to different types of music, but he really takes a lot of inspiration from, different genres. But it was great to speak with him, and wish him all the best in his upcoming career. So, so this has been Dylan Murphy. Once again, if you want some more interviews with up-and-coming musicians, do make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because I would really appreciate that. So once again, this has been Dylan Murphy, and thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.